He who hasn't tasted bitter things, that is, tasted bitter things. Life is such, the moment you try to divide this and that, the good and the bad, which doesn't exist. And if it exists, it exists in the slaved mind. It exists in the people who have not participated, who has not acted. Otherwise, everything is very tasty. After the hardest work, like the Zen master said, no work, no food. Why did he say even the ripe old age when the children and his disciples removed all his equipments? Because the other people, public were telling, in this ripe old age, head of the ashram, head of the monastery, the super supreme head of the monastery where the kings and other ministers go to take his blessings, such a man, how do you allow him to work? Let him sit like our Indian Guruji is sitting and then blah 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 telling, all looking weak, but nobody is demonstrating that physical yin and the yang, positive and negative only can create electricity. That I think our leaders and our great Gurujis, our Swamijis, they were forgotten. They went one-sided, showing that they hardly eat anything. When they hardly eat anything, they hardly could work anything. And the disciples also started telling, we eat hardly anything. When you do hardly eat anything, you don't allow others to eat also. When nobody is eating, how do we clean up the poverty? The Zen master said, no work, no food, because he is the person who understood the heart has to work with the sweat, makes the body to suck the food, and in that sucking of the food, you have the purest taste. And the taste melts in every part of the body, which you can really see. That seeing, that consciousness is truth, and that consciousness is God. Just think about it. Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, born on 1st July 1646 in Leipzig in Germany, died on 14th November 1716 in Hanover in Germany, was a German philosopher, mathematician, scientist, diplomat and polymath. He is a prominent figure in both the history of philosophy and the history of mathematics. As a philosopher, he was one of the greatest representatives of the 17th century rationalism. As a mathematician, his greatest achievement was the development of the main ideas of differential and integral calculus, independently of Isaac Newton's contemporaneous developments. Mathematical works have consistently favored Leibniz's notation as the conventional expression of calculus. Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz said, he who hasn't tasted bitter things hasn't earned sweet things. He said bitter things. First of all, bitter is not there. Without bitter, you cannot understand the real taste of the sweetness. Like people, the leaders are taking the people for a mass demonstration. And people are at least in Africa, I see when they go for a demonstration, for a protest, they will be at least dancing in the street with some physical exercise. What I'm telling, before you go, from which point to which point, if you are going for a 2 kilometers or 5 kilometers of your protest march, make sure that 5 kilometers before you start the march. If the march is going to start at 10 o'clock, you are there early morning, 5 o'clock. To clean up the 5 kilometers, and make sure the people who are participating in the protest are trained beautifully, and that whole area is painted, and that whole area has got the solar working beautifully, and dustbins have been provided beautifully. The moment you walk, you do a protest, and people know a protest means that our area is going to be cleaned up, and some kind of a development happens, and that 5 kilometers of the poor people have got all the food they have to get it for that particular day, because when the protest is marching, they can't even come out. They can't might be able to go to work. Dust will enter the houses. You are paid them. Yes, and then you go for work. Like they say, Buddha, when you travel, say any part, the trees which never bore fruits, flowers, the plants which never give flowers. Trees which never give fruits, the moment Buddha passes under them or through that area, it bears fruits. That means that bitterness is cleaned because the leader makes sure that area is updated. Yes, the area is updated. If everybody can do it, where there is a slum, where there is a downtown, only yin and yang, positive and negative, only can create electricity. Please try to understand. The followers who are following a guru, yes, make sure the area is cleaned up, yes. And surrounding the ashram, at least 1 kilometer, 10 kilometers, there is solar. There is rainwater harvesting. That is beautiful. Drains where water can run, and people who are coming there to clean up that whole area, paint that whole area, and that whole area is eliminated. People live happy. When you are jumping, dancing inside the ashram, the 5 kilometers people also should be jumping and dancing because you gave them food. Yes, you have painted their houses. Such is the power of a guru or a Swamiji or a Shishi or Babaji or Mataji or whatever you call it. Yes. Then there is no problem. The problem of the hate built up because you are bringing so many people, but you have never shared it. But in the stage you keep on telling, share and share. Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz said, he who hasn't tasted bitter things hasn't earned sweet things. Yes. He said, if you are not, even now I hear the village people, your children have taken sweet and suddenly you ask for a tea. And before you drink the tea, of course Indian tea with milk and sugar, those people will come and give us a mixture or something which is bitter. Please have this bitter before you take the tea, because if you don't take that bitter, the tea will not, even though it is tasty inside, you will not feel the taste. That's why we keep on telling, roll like 1,000 men warrior, the Samskriti. Yes, early morning you sweat. You see the sweet, your body, you see the sweetness of your tongue is the sweetness of your people across you and the sweetness of your people around you, and the sweetness spreads the length and breadth of wherever you walk. And then you don't come back home. You don't come back home to tell complaints, because everything is beauty. Because you become a magnetic force, but your physical body is very important. Not you, when I say you, the leader also, including the leader. He who hasn't tasted bitter things, yes, hasn't earned sweet. First of all, what Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz said is bitter things is because of the materialistic world of thinking bitter. Everything is bitter. Because why the bitter came? Because you have never understood the heart labor. You have not participated. You have not melted. You are not conscious. You are not absorbed, or you have never looked deeper into it. There is no bitterness, first of all. Bitterness is never there, because bitter is also very, very tasty. You get a kick, one thing, when you get a kick on the face while you're practicing martial art, and you're instantly the blood, boom, you can see the blood jumping out, splashes out, and what you say very next moment, shit. What a beautiful kick. You are not telling it's painful. You are not telling the blood spilled out. Oh, he hurted me. He hit me. Immediately what comes out in a real martial artist mouth is shit. What a beautiful kick. Means I did not practice. I must go back to practice. It's beautiful. I would have blocked it.